After discovering the connected clients on your network, now it's time to scan it using a tool called Nmap. Nmap is a network discovery tool that can be used to get detailed information about any client or network or any target on the internet. Nmap able to scan almost everything connected to the internet. It can detect the open ports of the live host and the running services and even the version of the running services and much more. There are tons of options that you can use with Nmap, but I'm not going through all of them because this needs a complete course to explain what is Nmap and how to use it like professionals. So this video could be divided into two parts, and I'm going to explain the most commonly useful command that you can use with Nmap. Now let's see how to use Nmap. Okay, so to use Nmap, I'm going to open new terminal. And I'm going to type Nmap -H to see the help menu. So you can see here that there is tons of options that you can use, but I'm not going through all of these options because this needs a complete course in order to explain all of these options. But I'm going to explain only the most popular options or the options that you need in order to achieve your goal. So I'm going to say clear. Let me minimize the window, and I'm going to say Nmap -V to see the version of Nmap. And you can see here the Nmap version is 7.40, which is the newest version of Nmap. So I'm going to say clear again. And now I'm going to use the command Nmap and then the default gateway of my router, which is 192.168.0.1. And now I'm going to add 24, or let me just scan it right now, like this, just to see the open ports and the services. And you can see here that we have this IP address, and it has this MAC address, and we can see here the port is 53 TCP is open, so the state is open, and the service is domain, and we have also the 80 TCP, and the state is open. So sometimes you will see the state is open or closed or filtered. So filtered means that Nmap cannot determine whether the service or the state is open or not, or the port is open or not, because there is a firewall prevent Nmap from scanning the host. And also we have the port 5000 TCP open, and the service is UPnP. So now we'll go to the second command, which is Nmap 192.168.0.1, but I'm gonna add /24 to scan all the live hosts to see their IP addresses, MAC addresses, and their open ports and the protocol, whether it's TCP or UDP, and yeah, and the services. So now I'm gonna say enter, and this process could take some time. And here is the result, and you can see here that it took about 53 seconds. And let me maximize the window. And yeah, here we have our default IP addresses, and we explained all of these ports. So the port 53 is open, and the service is domain. And here we have another live host on the network, which is 192.168.0.3.1, and it's my mid-split build machine. And you can see here that there is a lot of open ports, and the state is open, and you can see their MAC addresses and the services. And you can realize here, or you can see here, that there is a service or unknown service here on port 81 or 8180, and you can see that it's connected through the Wi-Fi adapter TP-Link technology. And also we have another machine, which is my MacBook. There is only one port is open, which is 80 on the service HTTP, and you can see its MAC address, and the manufacturer company is Apple. And we have also my Windows machine. There is only one IP address, or one port is open, which is 80 on HTTP server or service. And also we have the MAC address and the Wi-Fi adapter that's connected through it. And yeah, so here's all the 5 hosts. You can see here there is only 5 hosts are up. Let me minimize the window. I'm gonna say clear. So we have another command that allows you to scan multiple IP addresses by typing Nmap 192. So you can type the first IP address, which is 192.168.0.1, just for example, and now you can type the second IP address, 192.168.0. Let's say 3.1, which is my mid-splittable IP address. So Nmap is the name of the tool, and the first IP address and the second IP address. So it's gonna scan only these 2 IP addresses, and I'm gonna say enter. And we can see here the result. So as you can see, it only scanned these two IP addresses. Here is my first IP address, 192.168.0.1, and here is the second IP address, which is 192.168.0.3.1, and here's all the open ports and the services. And you can see here 2 hosts are up, and it's scanned in 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds. So let me say clear. So this command is a little bit long, so we can use another command that could be shorter than this command. So we can type nmap, and also this command is used to scan multiple IP addresses. So we can type nmap 192.168.0.1, but instead of typing right now the second IP address or the full second IP address, we can just hit comma and then the IP address of the second machine. So it ends with 31. So instead of typing the full IP addresses, and because these IP addresses are on the same subnet, so you don't have to type the full IP address, just you can type comma 31 to scan these IP addresses. So it's gonna scan 192.168.0.1 and 192.168.0.3.1, and I'm gonna say enter. And as you can see, it scanned these 2 IP addresses. Here is all the open services and ports, and you can see here the open ports, and you can see the services. Let me type clear again, and we can use another command that is going to scan a range of IP addresses. So by typing nmap 192.168.0.1, and now we can say minus 150. So it's gonna scan the IP addresses between range 1 to 150. So I'm gonna say enter. So here you can see that we were able to scan a range of IP addresses. So we have scanned from 1 to 150, and we can see here all the scanned hosts. So here we have 192.168.0.1 and 192.168.0.3.1, and also we have 192.168.0.5.2, which is my Apple device. And yeah, so we have also another command that we can use. Let me say clear first, and it's the status of the scan. So we can type nmap, for example, 192.168.0.1/24 to scan all the hosts on the subnet. And we can type status. So if you are bored and you want to see the status of the scan, because sometimes it takes a long time, you can type state/every, and you can type, for example, 2s or 3s for second. So you want to see the status after 3 seconds, or you can say 3m for minute, or 3h for hour. In my case, I'm gonna say, let's say for example 2s for 2 seconds. So if I press enter, you will see the status of the scan. You can see here that it's 83% completed. This is the correct one, 41.888, 4197, etc. And then it's gonna scan all the live hosts. So also we have another command, which is the fastest scan. So if I type 192, or not nmap, let me say nmap. Now let's say this, I'm gonna scan my mid-splittable machine 192.168, now 0.31 minus capital F for fast, and I'm gonna say enter. But before we do that, let me remove the minus F to see the normal scan, and you can see here that it took about 1 second and 80 milliseconds. And if I typed minus capital F, it has to be faster, so 0.42. So this scan is faster. But of course, sometimes it's not going to give you the full details of these hosts, so I recommend using the normal scan. And there is another command that could be used for nasty purposes, which is nmap -i capital R. So this command is used to scan random targets on the internet. So you can scan for random IP addresses on the internet, and if there is one of these IP addresses has a lot of open ports, or one open port that allows you to hack that machine using a certain exploit in Metasploitable. So you can do it. So let me give you an example. So you can type nmap minus I capital R, and you want to scan for 3 hosts on the internet, and I'm going to say enter. And as you can see here, we were able to scan 3 public IP addresses on the internet, and they are random. And as you can see, we were able to scan for 3 random IP addresses on the internet, but none of these IP addresses is vulnerable because the firewall prevents Nmap from scanning for the open ports. You can see here that Nmap scanned for 1000 port, and all of them are filtered, so that means that the firewall prevents Nmap from scanning for the open ports on this IP address. So here's the first host, and here's the second host, and here's the third host. So the last command I'm going to be using it is minus IL. So I'm going to say nmap minus I capital L. So this command is used to scan a list of IP addresses, or a file of IP addresses. Let me say cd desktop just for example, and now I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to say, for example, targets.txt, and now I'm going to type in this txt file my targets. So you could have for example, 200 targets or 5 targets, 100 targets, so it doesn't matter, but you're going to scan the list of IP addresses that are in this txt file. So let me say that I'm going to scan 192.168.0.1, and I'm going to scan 192.168.0.220 and 192.168.0.31, and I'm going to say Ctrl O to save it and Ctrl X to exit, and I'm going to say clear again, and I'm going to use nmap minus I capital L to scan a list of IP addresses. And now I'm going to add the txt file, which is targets.txt, and I'm going to say enter, and now it's going to scan all the IP addresses that are in this txt file. And as you can see, we were able to scan the IP addresses. So here you can see our first host, which is 192.168.0.1, and here is all the open ports. And here is our second host, 192.168.0.220, and here is all the services and the ports. And last host is 192.168.0.3.1, and here is all the open ports and the services. So in this lecture, we learned how we can scan for the live hosts that are connected to our network. We see in the open ports and the services and their MAC addresses and their IP addresses. And also we learned how to scan a multiple IP addresses, and how to scan a range of IP addresses, and how we can scan a random IP addresses. And also we can scan a list of IP addresses that are in a txt file. And in the next lecture, I'm going to show you another option that you can use it with Nmap in order to achieve your goal.